preach. Because if you coming like that, I'm coming like that.
I go up there for 1 minute.
He said he a rapper and a singer, so I told him to spit something.
So let's talk about Alexis and Dom, okay? First and foremost, I want to say this. They've been dating for 6 months. She said he's got a bit of a temper. She said she don't want no more kids, but they're not on the same page about that, okay? She don't want to start over. She said she's a jealous person and doesn't want to, she's also jealous of her man too as well, she said. And then he said they are both clingy and mad jealous. This situation, we talked about mirrors all day long. For the last 2.5 hours, if you've been here, we've been talking about mirrors. And in this show, there are always mirrors. The key question is, what mirror is this situation bringing to the table? Well, first and foremost, I have to ask this question. In what world should Alexis be okay with him having a temper? If you know within 6 months that you know that he has a temper, why are you there? Why are you there? Within 6 months, you haven't met him yet, but you know he has a temper. You yourself also are a very jealous person, and jealousy comes from a place either of paranoia disorders or obsessive disorder. But the one that we mostly have is what we call insecurity, right? Insecurity is what oftentimes breeds jealousy. So why are you ignoring his anger, and why are you so jealous? What have you gone through that is making you be in a space where you are ignoring a red flag of anger, and you haven't met him, by the way? And 2, okay, you've diagnosed the fact he has that kind of anger, still haven't met him. And 3, you know yourself, you're very jealous. The key part is this: desperation has a sound. Desperation has a sound. Desperation has a sound. Desperation has a sound. She told us, I don't want to start again. I don't want to have to start again. It's long. No, you should start again because you notice he has anger issues. Right? You noticed. You should start again, but desperation has a sound and it leads to a behavior. Okay? Desperation has a sound and it leads to behavior. Now, when you are somebody that is comfortable with people's anger, especially what we saw with him at the end, and there you go. I was just about to say that. You've witnessed some dysfunction yourself. Whether it was you dysfunctioning, whether it's someone else dysfunctioning, whatever you want to call it, you've been witnessing, maybe participated in some dysfunction previously. So before I go on to their beef fully, you've understood some or seen some or participated in some. This is not your first rodeo. This ain't your first rodeo. So in this situation, I was wondering why you saw and diagnosed anger and thought to yourself, let's bypass it. Not only that, you also bypass the fact that you both don't. He wants kids and you don't. That is a foundational issue. You're desperate. That's a low esteem and low self-worth, because at that point, you actually have a foundational issue in your relationship. This actually shouldn't go any further, but we're still deciding to go further. Go back to my scripture. Submit to God, resist the devil, and he'll flee. Sometimes the temptation of what we are facing is as a direct consequence of the fact that we don't want to change. We don't want to change. And when you're so desperate that it leads you to the dirty water, not the living water, this is where we can end up. Now, if we were to take God out of the situation, when I say living water, let your living waters flow over my soul. You know, if we were to take God out of the situation of living water would just mean truth and love. Dirty water is toxicity, dysfunction, okay, and abuse. Why does one lean towards the dirty water? Because they've already been drinking that dirty water before. It is recognizable. The taste is familiar and the flavor is familiar. And so therefore my desire is familiar. Instead of wanting to go after the clean living water, the Samaritan woman came to Jesus and Jesus said, listen, I have a water that you don't know about. And she said, well, if you've got this living water, it would make me quench my thirst forever. Give it to me. When we don't want the living water, when we don't want change, when we don't want to grow, when we don't want to be able to expand, when we don't want to leave our position, when we don't want to be able to say, actually, this does no longer serve me, and I want to increase, and I want to abound, and I want to be further, I want to do something different, then guess what happens? The way you carry yourself will also tell us what you're willing to accept. And I'm not talking about abuse right now. I want to be very specific now. When you begin to move through life, right? See, a woman that knows I'm not here for the nonsense. Her energy, her tone, her behavior, her postures, okay? All of this starts to tell us, I'm not with that. Yeah, I'm not with it. And I have good boundaries. And here's a catch that's also really powerful as well. Sometimes good boundaries is also boundaries on yourself to not choose the bad. It is the ability to have self-control to choose better for yourself. Sometimes bad boundaries isn't just what people do to you. Sometimes bad boundaries is that you know you don't want to do better and you choose the worst. Instead of choosing what should be working for you, you choose what doesn't work for you. And you continue your cycle. See, having bad boundaries is again putting up a wall, not a gate. See, when you are in a place of balance and you're able to establish very good boundaries, you present a gate. This is from the Book of Boundaries. I love this book. Make sure you go and get it. The Book of Boundaries, it will tell you the gate needs to be there. Why? Because in a gate, you're able to open up the gate and say, come in and leave. You know what works for you and what doesn't work for you. But when you build up a wall, you don't know until someone jumps over. See, that's the problem with it. So when you have a gate, you are balanced. You're able to say, I'm opening the gate and I'm letting you go. This is not good for me. And the way you carry yourself tells us you carry a gate. The way you talk tells us you carry a gate. The words that you choose tells us you carry a gate. So the way your whole ethos and the way you move begins to speak about how you're going to do. Yeah? So with Alexis and him, there's a problem. There's a problem. Okay? There's a problem. And the problem is that she wants to be desired.
Stay calm.
The sexual chemistry is strong.
Our first date is him with his hands on your back, ready to blow it out on a yoga mat. Now, listen. Contextually, I want you to hear me very carefully. It's contextually. Contextually, this situation, due to what you've told us about the information, becomes problematic. On its own, ideally, this is, you know what, you've known each other 6 months, maybe your first kind of date. You know what? Listen, some of us have done some stuff and we've ended up, you know what I mean? Like one of my earlier girlfriends, our first date, we came back and we kicked it and we were together for a few years. It's not a big deal because I didn't see it. I saw you as something. You know what I'm saying to you? But the reality of the situation is there is problems that you have. There are problems that you're actually having in this relationship. So before you get to that point, now you're on the mat and you're talking about him blowing your back out and rearranging your back. When there are issues you haven't met yet, yeah? That's where we have a problem.
We good?
You ain't no, catfish.
Getting married tonight? Vegas ain't far.
Now, the problem is, more than likely, you've put more value in your body than you have your mind. Please hear me out. This goes back to what we value. When you put too much value on your body, you become sexual. See, a lot of times people don't realize, okay, listen, you can have value in your body. No, there's nothing wrong with value of your body. But when you put most of your value in your body and not your mind, you oftentimes are going to sexualize yourself. And when you sexualize yourself, I'm going to objectify you. Because you've done it, you've sold yourself that way. You know how we know that? Let me look. They are showing us clips like this on purpose because they're trying to get us to see the narrative of what they're seeing.
Hopefully that's what he's doing because that's what I'm doing.
Been practicing your twerking like I told you.
He make me feel secure.
They played one clip and they said, what did he say? He said, I hope you've been practicing your twerking. There's a reason. Look, the show is presenting us a narrative and I absolutely understand that, right? But this is probably one of few comments I've been made. So this comment about, how you're practicing your twerking, again, leads to what we talk about, sexual energy. Leads to sexual energy. And so in that space, if that person always leads with that sexual energy, they're loving you for your body, you're going to misinterpret whether they really care about you. See, your body is not as valuable as your mind, because your body can actually fail you. I mean, your mind can fail you too, but you know what I'm saying to you? We sex with the body as well as the mind, but it's, the body is what we oftentimes sexualize. We don't sexualize the mind, we sexualize the body. So when you are presenting your body first, that's why the pictures were showing us of her doing in the angle and in a bathing suit. They're showing us something. And what happened when she was in the house? Why was she talking about the guy's hoochie daddy shorts? Why are you in a relationship talking about another brother's hoochie daddy shorts? I need to make this very clear so we have a breakdown of understanding. Why are you talking about another brother who's not your man, talking about hoochie daddy shorts? If you don't think there's a problem, let me give an example. If a man was in the house and said, oh, you got them booty shorts. Oh, you got them booty shorts. I mean, they're not so short, but there's some booty shorts. We'll be looking at him like, what the hell are you doing? Your girl's in the room, why are you talking about the booty shorts? The fact that she mentioned it again, hoochie daddy shorts, who's your daddy shorts, by the way. It's not hoochie daddy, it's who's your daddy. Okay? When I wear them shorts, you tell me who's your daddy. Now, the whole point is, again, you're noticing, again, a physical aspect and you're mentioning it. You're playing too much, babe. You're too much in the sexual realm. I need you to come out of that place. There's too much value on the sexual energy. So therefore, unfortunately, that's the issue right there. And when you're placing a lot of value in your body, it's because that is what you feel that the world has valued you for. So, you are presenting that because you feel like that's where your value is, when you should be valued for your mind and your heart, not just your bum and your breast and your body. You're more than that.